Hello everyone, this is Mr. Fung with Week 8 Cello lesson. In this week's lesson, we will begin to use our first finger on the string, putting down our fingers on the string to make the next pitch on the D string, which will give us the new note E. We will pluck the new note E a couple of times, and we will also bow the E note. First, if you look at your cello, you might have a first dot here or a tape that goes right across the strings next to the C string. That dot is next to the C string. We're going to put our first fingertip right across from the dot on the D string today. And when we form our hand position, remember we want to keep that left hand thumb bent and behind the fingerboard, behind the neck. And when we curl this first finger and we put the finger down, we have to keep that thumb below the first finger. The first finger is way higher than where the thumb is. This is because later on when we go on to our third fingers and fourth fingers, that thumb will be right across the street and well balanced between all four fingers. If we keep that thumb next to the index finger, our first finger here, our pinky will feel like it needs to push down even more to get that tone, that sound, that nice pressure on that string. So what are we actually doing? We're pushing the string all the way down until it hits the fingerboard, and we're holding that finger down. By holding that finger down, we are able to get the next pitch going up. So here's my D string. Now my first finger down will give me the next note up in the music alphabet from D to E. Now when you put the first finger down, this is our first finger, the index finger is the first finger. When you put the first finger down, our finger must be curled. We don't want any straight fingers or flat fingers like this, because if we flatten your finger, we call this the collapsed finger. If we collapse the finger, our finger will feel a little bit uncomfortable and it can hurt a little bit too. So we want to keep the finger curled, and when we're curled here and striking it with the fingertip, this is our strongest. We are going to strike that note beautifully with a nice tone. Okay, so first let's set up our posture. Inside right knee, left knee slightly behind the cello. Our sternum, our chest bone, is on the shoulder, the back shoulder of the cello. Left hand, curled thumb, right in the middle, behind the neck. And let's start with that first finger on the string. Set the finger down, curl finger, and push down on the note E. You can check it right now. And we'll pluck 4 E's. Take a listen. Try this with me. Set the finger down on the D string, right across from the dot. 1, 2, E, go. Let's try this with our eyes closed while holding the finger down. We're going to close our eyes so we can trust ourselves, we can feel where we are, we can feel the space between the thumb and the index finger, and we'll give ourselves 4 E's. 1, 2, ready, E. Now that we've found E, going between the open D string and the E note, we want to hover the finger when we do not use the E. And take a look at how far I lift the finger off the string. Only slightly. We only need to lift the finger off very little bit so that when we need the E, it's ready to go and it's there. And what's important here is the thumb as well. That thumb tells us where our hand position needs to be when we're not using these upper 4 fingers. So while these 4 fingers are on vacation, that thumb is still working to keep us secure. And when we are comfortable with where the thumb and where the first finger is, you will not need to look at your hand to see where D is to check. Okay, so let's go back and forth between D's, no fingers, and first finger E. Set with no fingers first on the D string, and we'll go do this, we'll do 3 sets of it non-stop. Well, with stopping between, and then we'll do it with stops. So D string first, 1, 2, ready, D. Now set the first finger down for E. 1, 2, ready, E. Lift it off for D, ready, go. D. Set it down for E. 1, 2, ready, E. And let's try this with our eyes closed. Closing your eyes, lift it off the string, lift off the first finger. So we're on open D right now, keeping the thumb there. The thumb is going to help us find and keep track of where our first finger needs to go. Here's D. 1, 2, ready, D. First finger down for E. 1, 2, ready, E. Now each time you play, you might find a little groove forming on your fingertip. This happens when we push down on the string. And when we push down on a string, you don't need to push down all the way. If you push down all the way, you might end up hurting yourself or feeling a bit more pain. You just need to push down, just enough so that the string is meeting the fingerboard. Okay? And for those of us who practice a lot, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour a day, you will form what we call calluses on your fingertips. This is the hardening of the skin. Like most professionals, once they form, you're getting used to pushing down using your fingertips on the string. It will become more comfortable. It will not feel uncomfortable later. But you have to do this every day, and you're going to start to build strength in your fingers. So let's go into the bow. We're going to work with the bow now and playing between D and E. First, let's try to bow in E with a nice bow hold. Let's check our bow hold together. Curled thumb, bent thumb behind the bow grip. 4 fingers over the stick. And you notice that my pinky, the pad of my pinky is over the side of the stick. I am not putting the pinky tip on top of the stick. This is a violin viola bow hold, but we're playing cello. We're putting that fingertip over the side. My thumb is bent behind the stick. And if we do a little experiment by pretending we have a wristwatch here and we're looking at our time, we're turning our hand to an angle and my fingers are still curled. All of my fingers must be curled, no straight fingers. Okay, set it on the D string. And just like the way we pluck it, we're going to push that finger down. Remember to keep your thumb below your index finger. Set. 1, 2, E, go. And sometimes you might get a fuzzy sound. That tells me, and that should tell you, that your finger is only pushing down partially. It needs to push down all the way, all the way. So let's give E another try with the bow. Set the bow, good bow hold. Left hand, first finger pushing down all the way and listening for a good sound. 1, 2, here is E. And let's do the D and E going back and forth. So let's lift the finger off slightly, hovering right over the string for D. 1, 2, non-stop, D. And then E, first finger down. 2, 3, lift it up, D. First finger down, E. One more set, D. Pushing down the finger, E. 2, 3, 4. And before you go to the bow, if you'd like, practice plucking first, going back and forth between D and E over and over and over and over and over again to get used to this. Most importantly, remember that thumb must stay below the pointer finger, because eventually when we have 2, 3, and 4 down, that thumb is actually helping to support the pinky and the other fingers. Happy practicing.